Meghan's little secrets are starting to unravel thanks to Tom Bower's book, and one excerpt just revealed what was behind her Vanity Fair cover back in 2017, including that her activism is, well, not exactly like what she claimed to the world. Welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and it would be great if you join us by just liking this video, subscribing, and hitting that bell. Let's get down to it. It all started when Jane Sarkin, Vanity Fair's features editor, pitched the idea that Meghan, who still wasn't engaged to Harry at the time, should be on the cover. Graydon Carter, the magazine's editor-in-chief, had only one question about that. Who the fuck is Meghan Markle? He had never heard about her or about the show Suits, but it was not hard to persuade him that Harry's latest girlfriend could be the one to rock the British royal family, and it would be nice to have that exclusive. It was a bet on her. But Meghan was not that famous by herself, and Vanity Fair's cover is something that many desired but few managed to get. And that's when Sunshine Sachs enters the scene. Her contact was Kelly Thomas, who had struggled for years to get Meghan noticed. I'm not gonna joke about, well, it was Meghan after all, because breaking out in show business is no easy task. But she had a relationship with Harry, and this was the card they were willing to play. It had already transformed her life, and according to Bower, that feature could even prompt Harry to announce their engagement. It's a matter of social and public pressure. According to Harry himself, he was waiting for the Queen's approval when she returned from Balmoral that autumn. But what nobody knew is that Harry had already proposed to her and gave her the ring he had commissioned. Then Harry called Thomas Markle to ask for his approval. Thomas said, "Yes, so long as you don't raise your hand against her." I think there might have been a problem with the phone connection because Harry understood, yes, so long as you don't raise your head, and well, that could explain many things. But not even Kelly at Sunshine Sachs knew about this engagement. Maybe it was like their wedding. Nobody knew it was 3 days before, right? So she made sure to tell Vanity Fair that the piece should not be about her romantic life or her relationship with Harry. No, it had to, and I quote, represent her as a major actor and especially as an activist and philanthropist. At that point, Vanity Fair's intern said, "Okay, you know what? We'll be back in a minute," and went scrambling to research the proof that Meghan was, well, an activist and philanthropist. Meanwhile, Harry was not happy with the upcoming interview. He was aware that Diana and Sarah Ferguson were destroyed on similar circumstances, so he had his reservations about this being a good idea. The way to convince him was that this interview had more to do with Suits arriving at episode 100. Yeah, absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Meghan was a girlfriend to the royal family. But well, Sam Kashner was the one assigned to sit down with Meghan Markle. Kashner had only one question. Who the f*** is Meghan Markle? Well, his actual words were, "I don't know who this woman is." Recollections might vary. Now, one thing I noticed on Bower's book, which is relevant to have a better profile of Meghan's personality, is Kashner's experience before the interview began. He was at Meghan's apartment. She was making dinner, going all around the place while she kept asking questions about his studies, about his marriage, his work, to the point that Kashner began to sense a reversal of roles. Now, we know this because Bower must have interviewed Kashner at some point, and somehow Kashner thought that Meghan's questioning was relevant. I've said many times that Nutmeg has a strong personality and she's fairly proactive in her demeanor. We don't have many hearsay records of that. She cooking and walking around the apartment and asking questions at the same time to the point that the interviewer feels interviewed. It's a signal that she wanted to have the upper hand. Now, don't get me wrong. This is something that I strongly encourage, to ask questions, to show interest in the person you're talking to. Because everybody loves to talk about themselves. And everybody finds it flattering that you're interested in their lives. That is regardless of your intentions, because you might not like Meghan as a person, but as I've said many times, you should at least consider what anyone is doing right and see if it can work for you. Maybe Meghan wanted Kashner to relax. Well, not in the way that you're thinking, but relax in terms of not minding that the topic of Harry and the royal family was out of bounds. Meghan went as far as to tell him, "You're not a typical journalist. I like you, especially your stuttering." That's when he got the idea that she was playing him. Now, this is the moment Bauer's book sounds like a vanilla version of 50 Shades. After lunch, she kicked off her shoes, tucking her legs onto the seat. Meghan visibly relaxed and to Kushner appeared sexy. Yeah, make of that what you will. So Kushner thought, I'm gonna make my move. And just to be clear, it's the unsexiest move that you could think of because the move was asking about Harry. Meghan just replied, "We are a couple, we are in love." When he tried to press on asking more details, she played the Uno reverse card and asked him about his marriage. You can see that Meghan has a thing with controlling conversations. But this is where it gets interesting because after this strange interview, Kushner began contacting the people Meghan had mentioned as her friends. You can imagine his face when Serena Williams said that she was not Meg's friend, but just an acquaintance. She also gave a rather cryptic remark. "You've got to be who you are, Meghan. You can't hide." Which is all the more disturbing since she was talking to Kushner. Yeah, what? It's sad that so many Sugars squaddies were so disappointed. Meghan Markle is expected to attend the wedding of Serena and Alexis in New Orleans on Thursday. Fingers crossed for a few pictures. Never happened. Now remember those interns doing research about Meghan's status as activist and philanthropist? They could find no evidence, but it really didn't matter to Graydon Carter. For him, Hollywood philanthropy is PR philanthropy. Smoke and mirrors. But look, we have the confirmation that they are in love, and that's all that matters. Let's do this! It was not unexpected that Meghan's Vanity Fair interview, including the cover, will be seen as she taking advantage of her relationship with Harry to gain fame. By the way, I'm sure that I've seen those words, "while about Harry," somewhere else, but I just can't tell exactly where it was. Never mind. The fact is that Meghan was furious because she wanted to be seen as an activist, someone with higher priorities in life. But even if she was scolding Kushner about this angle, he decided not to tell her that. Guess what? Nobody at Vanity Fair could confirm any of her so-called philanthropic efforts. Even the anecdote of her denouncing a sexist Procter & Gamble ad writing to Hillary Clinton and allegedly receiving an answer never happened. Kushner couldn't possibly know that Thomas Markle knew that neither Clinton or P&G had replied to Meghan. There is one more thing that this chapter from Tom Bauer's book mentions. A tiny correction in the original Vanity Fair article about the date when Meghan met Harry. It originally said May, but then they made a correction to July. And this is material for another juicy video because if it was May, it will be colliding with her relationship with chef Corey Vitiello. This is relevant because I have never seen this kind of body language with Harry. These are just the facts. Tom Bauer's book will be released in less than 1 week and I'll be reviewing it in my second channel, The Royal Rogue. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell there so you don't miss any of my live stream on the Royals and non-Royals too. This is gonna be epic. If you want to refine your observation skills, all you have to do is download my 100 body language tips right in the description of this video. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas and it will always be a pleasure, my body language buddies. Much love and bliss.